Streaming from Accra.
Guideradio. The new wave. Hello. This is Lady Polos. You're listening to Guideradio, and this is one of the many podcast sessions. I'm here with a very interesting guest who I roped into interviewing. This is not an interview. This is a discussion. Yeah. It's nothing scary, but I'm just gonna let him introduce himself.
Okay, my name is Tony Tagoe. I'll call myself a cultural creator.
Okay.
I'll leave it like that.
That was very succinct. That was brilliant. So Tony, how's everything been going? You've been here since December.
No, I mean I've been
in
back
and
and forth. I mean I've been living in Ghana since 2012.
Yeah.
But due to the nature of my business, I'm back and forth a
Yeah.
lot. And so I came back in December, and yeah.
How's everything been going recently? What's been up? Especially December time this year was a lot.
Yeah, December's quite busy.
Yeah.
It's very, very busy. I think there's, a lot of people decide to come to Ghana for Christmas, which is a good thing, I think.
Yeah.
I think in terms of tourism and also people understanding what our culture is.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's people, I work a lot in the film business, so obviously there's a lot of people who came from the film world here and get to experience Ghana. So it's good to spend some time with some friends who are here and also spend time with family.
Yeah.
So
that's
happy New Year
awesome.
to everyone, sorry.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. That's nice. All right. Actually, I'm really excited about that. We're going to talk about that more because I sort of was fangirling with one of the movies that you produce, but we'll get to that in a moment. So I just wanted to understand, what was your reasoning, I guess, for coming back to Ghana on that level? Because I know that you grew up in London.
Yep.
But what motivated you to come back to the continent?
Okay. So I've been coming to Ghana all my life since, I was born in England, but from the age of 5, 6, every summer or Easter holiday, I've been coming to Ghana.
Yeah.
And I think when I was 13, I wanted to come and live in Ghana.
From 13?
13, 14, I wanted to stay because you come out and I had a lot of friends here, and it was more enjoyable. I thought I'd spend more time here. So I just wanted to be here. And at that time, I started boarding school in UK, and it was too late in that sense. But I wanted to, I wanted to come over in Ghana. But I think as a child, my dad used to say, if you misbehave, I'm going to send you to school in Ghana.
And you're like,
so
yes.
No. When you're like 6, 7, 8 years old, when you're misbehaving, if you misbehave, I'm sending you to Ghana.
Why is that such a scary thing? Why that's terrible?
It was the way it was presented at that time.
Yeah.
And you come to Ghana and you go, hang on a minute, this is better, it's a much better country than UK.
Yeah.
So what? I'm happy. I'll stay here. He goes, huh?
Yeah.
My friend Charlie, you have to go back, and that was that.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, so I've been coming all my life, and I've been always promoting Ghana, not just Ghana, but Pan-Africanism, Africa as a whole.
Yeah.
And so after university, I went into the music industry.
Yeah, but you studied theology.
Yeah, I did theology. So
that was, you went from theology and then you went into music. Is there a link?
Ethics.
Right.
Ethical.
Okay.
There is so theology, obviously, I studied Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and philosophy, and ethics. And I think I try and bring that into my life and whatever I do in that sense. And also you understand other people's cultures, which I think is important.
Yeah. And
so that brought me, I went into the music industry from there. I know I was always into music.
Yeah.
I was actually into a game. There's a game called Championship Manager. It's a football management game.
Okay.
I used to play on my phone. So I always wanted to go into some kind of management or entertainment management.
That's interesting.
And listen to radio shows, listen to like hip hop DJs. And I used to listen to all the tapes, record all the tapes. And I used to buy all vinyl and buy CDs. And so I think when I finished university, some friends of mine, 2 friends from Nigeria, from Botswana, my younger brother, we came together and said, listen, let's open a record shop in Carnaby Street, which is Soho. It's like the central, it's like being on Oxford Street in Accra or Su.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The equivalent of that.
Yeah, Carnaby Street,
And we wanted to change the landscape and bring our culture, African culture, or black culture as a whole into that area.
Okay.
And so we designed a store. I think store was like an open space where you can do live performances, probably the size of this room we're in right now.
Okay.
I'm not good at terms of sizes of measurements, and
Yeah,
you can probably have a better idea of what the size is here.
yeah. I'm not sure. I do not know the measurements, and unfortunately for the listeners, when you know what, watch it, you'll be able to see, you'll be able to figure out. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to post this somewhere.
Okay.
But no, I get you. It's a I guess a cozy but open space.
Open space,
Yeah.
exactly. So it was an open space. We sold vinyl. We had artwork on the wall,
Okay.
and we used to promote established artists and unknown artists.
Okay.
So every week we would have live performances from acts from Kanye West, John Legend.
Wait, Kanye West.
Yes, Kanye. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, he came performed for an hour for free. For us, it was about social inclusion. No one had the same opportunities.
Yeah.
And it's the same here. There's people might know what goes on in Sue, but if you're living in Lashibi or in Temo or Kofuruda, you may not know what's going on in a certain area.
Yeah.
And our view is that we need to see how we can bring people into different areas. So by getting an artist established like Kanye West, it was a domino effect. You get other artists will come and perform inside the store, and they also do it for free because we don't have the money to pay them.
Wow.
So you had Kanye, you had your Mos Def, you had will.i.am from Black Eyed Peas,
Wow.
John Legend.
John Legend.
Yeah.
Gosh. Okay. So you had a plethora of different kinds
Of artists.
of artists
Yeah.
there. Wow.
And yes, it was wow to us as well. You know,
How did they
young.
how did they hear about it? Was it the social media presence or was it word of mouth?
I used to approach them.
You'd approach
I'll
them.
go and approach like a Mark Ronson or Amy Winehouse. You will see them before they became big.
Yeah.
But so someone like Kanye, I saw him in a magazine called Fader magazine.
Yeah.
And I realized that, you know, there's something about him, he's going to be big. And I met Damon Dash, and he was talking about he's a new Jay-Z, because I think Jay-Z was about to retire. He just done the Black album.
When was this about? Can we get some dates?
2000, I think, 5.
Right.
I think when I met him, it was 2005.
Okay.
People like Mos Def, 2003, 4, when he was doing acting and music.
Okay.
So you end up building rapport. And what I used to talk to them was about Ghana and Africa, and a lot of African Americans want to know about Ghana and so forth. So we had some kind of affinity, and from there you end up getting a relationship, a friendship. Do you see what I mean? And I wasn't becoming a fan. I wasn't acting like a fan, and I was talking to them as an equal, as a peer.
Yeah.
And so they may act towards me maybe slightly differently. And so you have one artist perform, then you have about 30 to 35 different unknown artists, rappers, spoken word poets, R&B artists, and they ended up coming every week. People come from all over the country, and then word was spread, and people used to come from France, people used to come from, every time an artist came from the US, they'll come to our record store first before going to talk to their record label. And then you have people like Damon Dash telling other artists that, you know, if you're coming to London, you have to come here, you have to go to that record store first. And so it became a legendary store in that sense.
Yeah. And
we're kids, so at that time you have all these brands like Nike and Puma will come to us and give us trainers for free. And I was happy. I had like hundreds and hundreds of these Jordans, and I was, you know, but then I started thinking, hang on a minute, we're introducing them to these artists, but what are we getting back from it? So we set up a marketing company. So the record shop became the hub. They had the marketing company.
Yeah.
And then, so we did a launch for Vodafone BlackBerry with Amy Winehouse. We did stuff with brands like Diageo, Ogilvy, Sergeant Saatchi.
Ogilvy, okay.
We did a Foot Locker album mixtape with will.i.am, with various different artists. And that then led me into becoming an artist manager.
Wow. I mean, okay, so everything just kind of had that domino effect in that sense. So you were managing artists. When did producing movies come into the picture? Yeah.
That came in around 2011.
Okay.
So I managed a guy called Mr. Hudson. So did worked with him, and we did a song with Jay-Z, Forever Young.
Okay.
And
that's a good song,
I signed him at that time. I signed to Kanye West record label, and then I met my closest friend, good friend, James Samuel, who's like a brother to me. So James Samuel is a filmmaker and musician. So by managing him as a musician, he started saying, "Oh, he wants to make this movie."
Yeah.
So we made a movie called They Die by Dawn, which is a black western.
Yeah.
So that took us to London it took us to LA. So he wrote the script. We got the crew who worked on a TV show called 24 because they're used to working at a very fast pace, and they had the experience to work on a movie we wanted to do. So from the money James had made from music and so forth, he put that into to make this film. And no one really talks about black cowboys or cowgirls.
No, it's not even.
Do you know any?
It's unheard of. Well, I watched a documentary, but that was one documentary, and it was one of these media houses, but they focused on a black cowboy, and I thought that was it was such a juxtaposition, like to just see him in that environment. It almost seemed like it didn't make sense, but then it does make sense if you think about it historically. It makes sense.
It's true. But our mind won't make us think about that because we've been on TV, we've only seen like John Wayne, for example, and Clint Eastwood. And so we never thought about black cowboys. So by him talking about it, I was like, what's black? I've never heard of this. And we started doing kind of research. You see there's a lot of historical characters exist, like Stagecoach Mary, Isam Dart. There's a few.
That's quite interesting. So that was your first kind of work. That was when you just really started getting into
film. Yes.
What did you realize? What were the hardest parts, I guess, or the challenges of coming into that space? Especially, I don't know if this is a difference. If it, there's such a small minority of, people. Black people who are in the space of directing and I guess producing, and then even less, I would say, for women, I would say that too.
Yep.
So I mean, what were the challenges that you came up with, especially producing this sort of movie as well?
Well, for us, I mean, there's an issue. No, of course, there's issues. We always just try to say, you know what, we just got to work harder. That's in that sense.
Yeah.
And we always just thought outside of the box. I have conversation with James. Listen, if he said to me, listen, let's go to the moon. I said, okay, how are we getting there? Well, that's our mindset. We always think about, right, there's nothing in this world is not possible.
Yeah.
And so our challenges, luckily, is that we cast an all-black cast. Okay. And you got to think that if you're a black actor or black actress at that time, I mean, until I think maybe Black Panther now.
Yeah.
You're not seeing, there are black movies being made. And there's also a black Hollywood. There's a movie like Tyler Perry has his audience. There's a certain kind of audience. Yeah. But at the same time, a lot of people need work. They're always looking to go and do work. And if something's interesting, you'll get them. And I think it's also a domino effect when you have a name. So on that, you had people like Isaiah Washington, Jesse Williams, Rosario Dawson, Erykah Badu. And once you have those, and Michael K. Williams, and then others will join it, will show interest.
Yeah.
As well. So from getting the actors and actresses, I think they're there because they need the work. And in terms of the outlets and so on, I think at that time was slightly different to what we have in this day and age, because we're living in a sense of the social media Netflix era, where you've got maybe over 100 million subscribers, and now they need to expand, but we can go on to that. Is where they need to go and expand. It's going to probably end up being places like here, where we are, Africa as a whole. And so the challenges, I think, for us was, one, getting it made, and then finding the outlets to go and push it, and making people understand that there is an audience. People want to watch things about black culture. There's a massive audience.
Yeah. So I guess in that, what would you say for who would you say right now, whether director or producer as well, another black person who you think that is also doing, trying to create that narrative? Who would you say that, you really...
I think you could look at Ryan Coogler, who just did the Black Panther.
Yeah.
And did Creed, Fruitvale, his first movie. James Samuel, he did the Great Gatsby music with Jay-Z. He's doing his full feature. He's working on a full feature this year, which I'm sure we'll all read about, will get announced soon. And he did Legacy, the song, Jay-Z song, Legacy.
Yeah,
he did a short film for that.
Okay.
There's Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Who's, in a sense, he's one person. He's Ghanaian, half Sierra Leonean.
Yeah.
And he's also pushing that mantle, and he's very much so in terms of let's try and get more projects done in Ghana, and that's why he and I had spoken about let's do projects in West Africa with West African. Why we're not doing projects here?
Yeah,
and that's what led us to do Beast of No Nation here.
Yeah, and okay, that's perfect. So it brings me on to my next question. Beast of No Nation, you made it a focus to make sure that it was all filmed here and everything.
Yeah,
and
the whole film was filmed
and
here.
the actors, the crew, were they all also mostly Ghanaian?
It was a mix. I mean, Beast of the Nation it was written by Uzodime Ewela, a Nigerian writer, and this director Kari Fukunaga, who had read the book and optioned, I think, maybe 7 years. The movie took 7 years to get made.
Wow.
And they attached Idris Elba to the movie. And Idris and I, for some years back, had been talking about let's see if we can do some projects together. And so he was brought onto the production. The production started in the US, and he said, listen, he rang me. I just came back. I was in Uganda, I think, and I just come back to Ghana. And he said, there's opportunity to do this movie, and looking to maybe shoot it in Kenya. Do you think we can shoot it in Ghana? I said, yes, for sure. I'm sure we can. So I set up a production company with Danny Dama, my business partner, and Danny had a lot of experience working in film in the US and then come back to Ghana. And I had experience working UK, US, and come back to Ghana, and we just hit it off straight away.
Yeah.
In terms of, we have a good working relationship.
Yeah.
And so in terms of crew, there's crew from Ghana, there's also crew from the US. And so as a director, you have your crew that you work with anyway, in most cases. So Carrier had his team that he worked with, and at that time, the experience, people will say the word experience, but I think experience is relative. And guys who had worked in projects in Ghana, who are Ghanaian, who worked in projects in Europe and worked in the US, but also worked over here.
Yeah.
And they had a good understanding how we're going to work on a big production like this. So some of the heads of departments came from the US, but also heads of departments came from Ghana.
Yeah.
And you end up employing altogether on a film like that scale probably 1,200, maybe 1,500 people.
Okay, that's great.
And so our company co-produced the project. At the time, Dilra Productions did the co-production here, and we worked at the US production company. Okay,
so I wanted, Beast of No Nations was quite big in that sense. Like it touched a lot of points that, and especially the narrative it came from as well. I'm just wondering, what was the audience? Who were the target audience for it? Was it for people that were living outside of Ghana to understand what was some of the things that we could do, or was it to kind of bring in the Ghanaian general public to seeing more of international movies that could be made? Like, who was it the target?
I think it's both. I think it's everywhere. Yeah. To be honest with you, for myself, Danny, I would say is about, listen, we can make movies of high quality here in this country.
Yeah.
100%. And also, you got to think that you do movies in the. Movies made in America could represent other countries. Movies made in South Africa, a lot of movies made in South Africa represent other countries.
Yeah.
The movie was not supposed to represent Ghana per se.
Yeah.
It was a fictional country. It's a fictional book.
Yeah.
But obviously, people can see the comparisons, what happened in Sierra Leone, Liberia, and so forth, and child soldiers.
Yeah.
So for us, you use Ghana as a location because you go across the country. We shot in Kofodra, around Buti Falls, Mangoasi. And then we shot in Takoradi as well, and then Exim.
Okay.
That in Cape 3 Points.
Okay.
So for us is that Ghana has different locations to make movies. You go to Kenya, they're making Viking movies, which are all white cast Viking movies in Kenya.
Yeah.
Because you have the different kinds of landscapes and things. We have that in Ghana as well. The locations are all there.
Yeah.
And for us, it's about how we can bring international projects to this country. It doesn't have to be movies about Ghana, but using Ghana and creating jobs and capacity building in the country, number one, which then also lead on to other productions which we will do, which will maybe focus on Ghana.
Yeah.
But you can make movies representing different African countries, or even in Europe in some cases. It's all about how you shoot it and who's shooting, and if the director or the art department, location team can find the locations to replicate other countries.
Yeah. That's interesting. I guess that makes me ask then what do you think of the movie industry in Ghana as it stands right now? As you said, you gave a point about noticing that Ghana, we have different landscapes, different things, and different opportunities for people and international companies to come in and utilize that for a movie. There's potential there to use that. But, I think that's missed oftentimes. It's never a case where people realize that, these are the hubs, these are the different pockets of potential that we have. So I'm thinking further than that in terms of organization, in terms of the way it's established now, in terms of what we're doing. What do you think personally of the movie industry now? Even I guess you said you were a culture creator, like the cultural sector in it as a whole, as a general speaking
I
thing.
think it's growing. It's completely growing. There's, I think, a lot of movies have been made across Ghana or West Africa as a whole. And I think Ghana, in my view, could become the central hub for all of that. For a lot of movies being made, even movies made in Nigeria and so forth. Ghana's
You think so?
I really honestly believe so. There's so much talent here. You go think people came for casting for P.SwithLady. Some people had never had acting experience before.
Yeah.
And so you can see there's a lot of talent across, and we've got a growing youth population as well. So I think Ghana is becoming that place, a hub where lots of people want to come and make their films, be it Nigerian movies or Ghanaian movies and so on. And it's just going to keep on growing. And I think as infrastructure continues to develop, and ways in which how we edit movies and so forth keep developing and so on, it's just going to keep on growing.
Yeah. What kind of infrastructure do you think that we need in order to establish something that could rival, the movie industry in the US and stuff? And
I think I think right now it's in regards to obviously things like camera equipment and so forth.
Okay.
There's access to it, because I think we have to rent certain stuff in and bring it in.
Yeah.
Obviously, incentives. A lot of countries have tax incentives for films, and I think Ghana is also are looking to get that done.
Yeah.
And it's something that we would like. I think everyone in the film industry, and I think the country as a whole, would like that, because obviously it brings more people to come to the country, and more jobs are getting created and so forth.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by infrastructure, and I think as time goes by, there's no reason why we can't have like film studios in West Africa as a whole.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. All right. So we're just going to go on a mini break. You've been listening to Lady Bullis and Tony, and we're just talking more about the movie industry as a whole, and how it has the potential to not only create jobs but create a space where we become a hub, in a sense, of where people come into and explore and utilize the landscapes of people that are here and existing and are trying to make a difference, I guess, in that sense. So we'll be listening to us. We'll be right back with you soon. So we're just going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. Streaming from Accra, Guideradio, the new wave. Hello, this is Lady Bullis, and you're still listening to Guideradio. I'm here with Tony, and we're talking about, his personal experiences as Ghanaian in the diaspora, I guess. Diaspora, can you say that? I feel like every time I mention that word, I don't like it as much. No, and I feel like everybody who is apparently identified as diaspora hates that word too. It's a strange thing. Anyways, but also we're talking about the movie industry as a whole, and your work as a producer and everything that you've done so far. We were just talking about the potential that Ghana has in terms of creating movies that, being a hub for a place that movies can be created, and the things that can be done. But earlier I was speaking to you, and I asked you a question about the amount of black people, black men, black women in the movie industry as directors and producers. So I'm wondering, in Ghana, you have a sense where, and I've mentioned this before, that there's a lot of families traditionally still believe that the creative industry is not the way to go. They want to see a doctor in the house. They want to see a banker. They don't really want to see someone who's like, I'm going to shoot movies, mom. Yeah. So what do you think? How can we encourage the generation coming up even my generation itself, whatever, our generation,
yes.
to put more into the creative industry, to see it as a something that's viable, that can grow, to realize that it has potential, and for the young kids to realize that they can also say, when I grow up, I want to be a producer.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's a good question. I mean, because you go to other countries, you have like courses, there's university courses that might be specific to be either film production, film directing, and so on. But when it comes to film as a whole, there's so many different jobs that create it, from people working in hotel management to carpenters, electricians, gaffers. There's tons and tons of different types of jobs, transport and so on.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just people having a broader understanding of what the film is. It's a business. That's what people have to understand, that film is a business. The music industry is a business.
Yeah.
And yes, there are people who make hundreds, in some cases millions of pounds, but there's also people who have a steady income that make a same amount of money as someone working in a bank or being an accountant.
Yeah.
And so forth. And yes, those still are necessary skills if you want to go into the film business, because doing accountancy and so forth. My father, we always say, listen, go and do accountancy. It's a typical thing that Ghanaian parents do. We got accountants, lawyers, doctors.
Yeah, exactly. The trifecta.
And so I went to university to have the degree, so I have something. They always say have something to fall back on.
Yeah.
But I think eventually we have universities that are doing courses that go towards the film industry.
Yeah.
And then once people understand what job opportunities there are in film, and what kind of income or what kind of aspirations your children may have, and understanding how it can work, then I think over time people are starting to get it, because we all watch TV.
Yeah.
We all watch either normal TV, DSTV, and so forth.
Exactly.
And you see there's commercials in there. So commercials are bringing revenue for these TV shows or films to be made.
Exactly.
And so on. And you paying DSTV
you're feeding for that right
you're feeding into that,
Yeah. That's true.
And so that then leads to content being created.
Yeah, exactly. Then I guess in itself, I should ask, what do you think about the schools that are here in Ghana that are geared towards the movie industry?
like NAFTI and stuff? They're good. I mean, when we were filming, we did a lot of work with them.
You worked with NAFTI?
Yeah, so we went, and also in terms of, look, people who worked on our film crew have also come from NAFTI. A lot of our film crew. Do you see what I mean? So that is very, 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 it's vital.
Yeah.
Very vital.
I always wonder what the ways that, you could possibly put that out there more, that people can understand that you don't have to go to X, Y, and Z and still make it. Like places like NAFTI is a place that you can go and you can learn and explore different things. I think there's so much emphasis on making sure you know exactly what you want to do and go for that only.
I mean,
it's a systematic thing, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I feel it's everywhere, or every parent who wants their child to be successful in whatever way. And I think that we're living on a continent where you look at, I'll give example, maybe someone like Netflix, for example, who need to grow in the African market. This is the only place where a lot of these companies can grow is going to be Africa.
Yeah.
So you're going to see, I think, a lot more content coming from the continent or being made on the continent, which is going to create more jobs.
Yeah. And
for me, it's about capacity building. What can we do in that sense? And for, I think, parents as a whole, as I was saying, they obviously want the best for their children, but I think once they start seeing these opportunities coming up and jobs being created, then we'll see a change. I think,
definitely.
I don't know if I've answered your question as accurately as you may want me to.
No, you are answering. There is no right or wrong answer. It's just what you think. But no, that's very true. To be honest, that is the case. Usually when a parent gets to that point when they realize that actually, okay, they're doing something and they're happy and they're making something from it, they realize they can do something with it.
When I went to do music, my parents were thinking, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I was doing a master's, and I stopped our master's because the record store started making money. Yeah. And when we started making money as a young, I'm 21, 22, and I'm started thinking, well, hang on a minute. Yeah. This is something I want to do as a career.
Exactly.
And then once certain landmarks started happening in my career, and then your parents understand. They start to understand, okay, you know what? we've not wasted our money sending them to school
Yeah.
or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
And I think the next generation of parents will have maybe a broader perspective in terms of opportunities
Definitely.
and that their children will go into.
Yeah, definitely. I want to go back to I guess the production of movies in itself.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you say has like what would you say or your style in I guess in terms of producing? How would you describe that style?
Well, my thing is I'm trying, attempted to do more projects that are positive for Africa and put Africa in a positive light.
Mm-hmm.
That's what ideally I'm aiming towards. B7 Nation was a story which you know it's quite gritty.
Yeah,
I can't say it's
it was.
it's showing a side that maybe people were not aware of.
Yeah.
And so on, which I think there's also important stories to tell.
Yeah.
But moving forward, I want to try and do stories. We can replicate stories that we made in the West, but also bring it towards our culture.
Yeah.
You see, you know, there's stories what to do. I want to do something on revolutionary leaders.
That would be so interesting. Yeah, you were speaking to me just about this. Okay, so Tony was just talking to me about this, and I think it's such a fantastic idea because I think, as I was saying earlier, that there is so little information. I think often I find that I can't find much literature on the things that I want to know about. Not only Africa as a whole, Ghana generally. It's limited, and it's baffling to me because there's so many people that are going to grow up and not know about these things, and
True.
it's like it's almost if it didn't happen, which is wrong.
Yeah, and also some of our own mythology stories. You know, people don't know about Anansi. Some people know, but even if you look at this, I would like to live in a world where we're seeing animation coming from Africa, animation stories. You know,
Yeah.
You know, as a kid, I watched things on Greek mythology like Ulysses and so forth, which is also good. And I think there's also stories that can be told from here. I'm not saying I'm a producer, but there's people who are out there who are filmmakers, work in animation and so forth. So I'd love to see that kind of stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Also, for myself, you know, there's stories like people like Thomas Sankara that no one knows about, or Nkrumah that we know about it. We see the monuments, but we don't know the truth, the whole history.
Yeah.
You know, and I can't say I know all my history. I think we're all, as humans, we're learning every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's good to get those stories out to a broader demographic.
Yeah.
You know.
Interesting. I mean, I think you showed me the book about Sankara just briefly, but the question is just still going on my head whether we're looking towards a future where, you know, we're pushing books aside and we're preferring to go in the route of, you know, videography and things in terms of actually films and content like that we can actually see. Is that where you think everything is going to end up steering towards? Because the generation that's coming up now, I think we're so focused on the things that we can see now, right?
It's like we're coming like Japan, the Japanese. You know, I remember as young, you know, it's you know, people's attention span. It was like this quick.
Yeah.
You got 6 seconds or something to get someone's attention.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, I like reading books, and I also think there's a role for each to play. From, you know, when you read a book, you can go into you can imagine. It helps your imagination.
Yeah.
To imagine all these things you can never, you know, from books, from your Enid Blyton books or
Enid Blyton.
yes,
Yeah.
you know,
I
Famous
those.
Five and all those kind of things as a kid, but then you also get insights into people's lives, and I think that film, you get an hour 30 minutes or 2 hours to tell someone's story.
Yeah.
TV series, you got time to develop someone's character, or like someone like a Narcos, for example, on Pablo Escobar. You get maybe, I think it's at 12, 13 episodes or hour long. That's 13 hours on someone's life, for example.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, you in some cases, if you're doing like stories on African leaders and so forth, you've got time to develop a character.
Yeah.
You know?
So you would more be inclined to produce more television shows in terms of actually creating a character as opposed to having a movie. Where do you think you could have more freedom?
I think both. It really depends on what the story is and what kind of story you're trying to portray. If it's a biopic or something, I think yes, you have time to develop a character in TV.
Yeah.
If it's a psychological thriller or just a thriller in general or a drama, then you got an hour 40 minutes, and that's it. If it's going to be like a superhero story, sometimes an hour 30, an hour 40 minutes is enough. Yeah.
Okay, and I just want to touch upon what you said earlier. You mentioned about the Anansi stories and seeing animation develop in that way. Why is it that you think that we haven't gotten to that point yet? I mean, the movies are getting there, I would say, but why do you think that animation has been something that maybe we haven't touched upon
animation is
yet?
very expensive. That's what we've
yeah, it is. Okay, fair enough.
But I think at the same time we can do animation, more of a basic animation from what was on TV in the earlier periods to still get the point across.
Yeah.
And I just think it's about people partnering with people in other countries and so forth, and getting together. Because I would love to do animation, but it's something that I still need to go and learn and see how it works. Like I can't say I know about animation. I can tell you about film and TV, but animation is something that I love watching. I like watching the Japanese manga manga shows and so forth. And I love Tom and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry is
my favorite cartoon.
Is it?
Yeah. So
I didn't expect that. Wait.
So
all right, no.
Yeah, I'm an odd person.
No. I want to ask you some more of your favorites, but I just want to ask. Besides the expense of it in itself, I think you also mentioned, or did I mention it in my mind, about the long-term process of it? Like, to create an animation, it takes years.
Yeah, it does take years. It takes time, frame by frame.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the way that we produce movies in Ghana right now, it's got a fast turnover in terms of from the way production starts and how it ends. Do you think that's going to be an obstacle in terms of the way people...
In terms of film, or
in terms of film, because I think there is no longevity in.
But there's audiences, but also I think there's so many different kinds of films, and people in America wish they could make movies as fast as people make movies in Ghana.
That's true. Yeah,
they wish they could do that.
Yeah.
And it's okay. So people may say, "Oh, it's rushed." In some cases, yes, things can be rushed, but also it's working to a certain audience. There's audiences for various kinds of movies. There's so much variety of genres of movies and fits to different kinds of minds of people want to go and watch.
Okay.
So in that sense, I'm like, wow, you can do that so quickly, and I want to learn how you do it so quickly at the same time. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, I think it's also about transfer of knowledge from both sides. There's so much experience here in film. And people come from Europe saying, "Oh, there's no experience, this, that, and so forth." So that's not the case. Experience is relative.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I mean? There's certain ways in which people are making films here, and I think people need to adapt if we're coming from abroad to how movies are done here, and see how you can work within that framework, and also how everyone can all work together and grow the industry as a whole.
Yeah. Okay, that's very true. Actually, that's an interesting take on it, because some people would think, oh, the movies that is produced here, that they do it too quickly. It's not. Maybe some people might say, oh, it's not exactly how I would imagined it to be, et cetera. But then at the same time, I'm realizing at the same time that actually it's amazing that they're able to have such a fast turnover in that sense, from going from filming to the production, post-production and everything like that. It's quite marveling.
I think some people are very creative here. That's one thing. We're very, very creative, and I was saying, as more technology gets, we get more infrastructure and so forth, I think we're going to see how it can all grow, and it's a burgeoning industry.
Okay, that's cool. Thank you. Okay, so I want to know. I don't know if you're able to say everything, but 2019, what are we going to be seeing? Give us in general.
I think we'll do some announcements soon. We'll do some casting soon. There's a TV series we're going to be doing.
Okay.
Which I think, I won't go too much into it, but I think we're lucky to live in a world where our music industry, by Afrobeat music from Ghana, Nigeria, has expanded all over the world. And I think that's the same thing that's going to happen to our films. It's going to expand all over the world. And there's a TV series we want to do, which I think will fit into that.
Yeah.
In something like that. We've got a couple of TV shows we're producing, and there's a film we're working on
as well.
But so everything's been.
And this is all coming from.
Yeah, it will be shot. Yeah, shots in Ghana, everything we've got in Ghana. And then, I've been having meetings even around here, if I was around the Guideradio offices, and have met some great writers and directors, and we see what they're doing, and we want to see how can we work with you, and how can we help you develop your project. And I think it's important. It's for us, for me to grow, for our company or my business partner, myself and Danny, for our business to grow, we have to work and collaborate with other people. And there are people who are making movies here, and we can either assist in editing, or in some cases maybe assist in finance, or assist in how to get the distribution. Around the continent, around the world, and so that's what we're trying to do, is just work with other people, because the more people grow, the more filmmakers there are, the more the better the industry is. And once we have an industry structured, then the world's the limit.
That's awesome. And I wonder, are there any directors or people in the film industry that you would or are interested to work with, or are already working with?
Yeah, there are. I'll just keep tight-lipped.
You're gonna keep tight-lipped.
But there's a lot. Good writers here in Ghana, and directors. And there's a movie I just watched. I'm not sure if I can even talk. I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to mention it or not.
Okay. Don't get yourself in trouble. Don't say anything.
But, there's I think Alvin introduced me to some people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
all right.
And it was really good.
Okay.
Really good.
Okay, cool beans. I just mentioned, you mentioned Tom and Jerry was one of your favorite series.
Yeah.
Wait, so what would you say was one of the movies that really, I guess maybe inspired you, or you really loved? Whether from
there's a few
Ghana,
movies that like in
Ghana,
general, movies that I like. Where do I start?
It's always a hard question. I feel like when everyone asks someone this question,
okay, like Goodfellas. I thought Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas is one of my favorite movies. Scarface is one of my favorite movies.
Gangster movies.
Once Upon a Time in America is a favorite movie.
Okay.
500 Days of Summer, I thought is a really good movie.
That's interesting. Okay. Went from mafia to
most Denzel
romance.
Washington movies. I think Denzel's one of the greatest actors. Period.
Really?
I put him in the same bracket as Marlon Brando and De Niro. I think he's probably done better movies. Not saying better as a whole, but he's been consistent.
Yeah.
In the movies he's done.
Okay. But you can't. What you don't have a particular movie from Denzel, or just everyone?
Oh, particular movie from Denzel. Where you go? Which one? I'm trying to think what I say is my favorite movie. I think his acting in American Gangster was amazing. Malcolm X, I think, is his.
Malcolm X was such.
I think he should have won an Oscar for that.
He didn't, did he?
No, but that to me was, his acting was phenomenal.
Yeah, no, I remember watching Malcolm X, especially for because I was studying civil rights.
Civil rights. Okay.
And A levels, yeah, and I was so into it. I love when I love something, and especially it's historical, I just go right into it.
Yeah.
And I think that I was watching things like Mississippi Burning and A Time to Kill, and then I came across Malcolm X, and I just thought that was amazing. I mean, it's a bit long, but I think it's so worth it, and he portrays Malcolm X in such an interesting way. I think it's such a brilliant movie.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that he didn't get an Oscar.
Yeah.
I mean, when I think about some other movies there and some actors like Leonardo DiCaprio, and I think about some movies, I'm thinking there's so much politics.
You don't think he's good?
No, I think he's good.
No, yeah, he should. He should have won Oscars many times.
He should have won Oscars so many times.
I think Spike should have won Oscars. But no, Do the Right Thing. All these movies.
Do the Right Thing. Yeah. Oh yeah, and a new movie came up as well. What was it? Black Klansman.
Black Klansman. Yeah, I watched that. I thought it was really good. I thought J.D. Washington is a fantastic actor, and he's just gonna grow. It's good seeing him from Ballers to go and do Black Klansman. I thought it was good.
The concept for that movie was really interesting. I definitely need to watch that in itself. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff coming up.
There's a lot of stuff TV wise. I mean, The Wire I thought was amazing. I thought that was one. Game of Thrones,
oh no!
I'm looking forward
another
to
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I am. I'm a big fan.
Are you serious?
Yes. But I think but this is that's a classic example. Game of Thrones. We should have our own African Game of Thrones, and I think that to me is why and Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
these
I
are great
love
stories
Lord of the
that
Rings.
we should we will have. I think over time people will be
Something
doing it.
similar to that. We're delving into the
Why
fantasy
not?
side.
Of course we should. We always do fantasy.
I
You're
mean,
not
we
watching.
do always do fantasy, but I mean, like in that sort of like sense, in that.
Yep.
Wow. I'm trying to visualize that. I wonder if you guys are visualizing that, especially Ghanaian people that maybe are listening, right? Can you visualize a Ghanaian version of Lord of the Rings?
I would say I think we do it. When we do it, they call it all kinds of other names. You
Yeah,
know?
obviously. It's not great.
when we do those movies, they say, "Oh, we're doing this with that." I was like, "Come on, we're the kings and queens of that."
Okay. This has been a pleasure. Okay, before we go,
Yep.
can you please let our listeners know how they can reach you, I guess, or follow you on all the things that you're doing, if you have?
Okay, well, I do use Instagram.
Okay. But you said that in such a
own
way.
Yeah, because I don't really do a lot of promotion, but I just try and put positive stuff on there in some cases, or things that I think I like.
Okay.
Sometimes my Instagram is Tony Tagoe, TonyTagoe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on Twitter as well.
And what's your Twitter?
Tony Tagoe.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Okay, excellent.
I use
That's
it
easy.
sporadically. Maybe I might use it more.
But I'm sure the different ways that people may be able to contact you about maybe movie ideas or scripts they have, or if they want to join in.
They can contact.
casting calls.
They can contact me. Listen, you can DM me on Instagram and so forth, and I'll either come back to you or some of our team will come back to you.
Yeah.
In regards to that. And there are things that we want to start doing in terms of courses, and even about script writing and how to edit and all those other things. I think it's important to share our knowledge that we have. I'm not saying I know everything, because I don't. You know, and I'm here to learn. Everyone's here to know, and vice versa. But yes, please feel free to reach out, and we'll find our ways to get our information in terms of what we're going to be doing in Ghana this 2019. And let's make 2019 good for all of us, not just for us, but Guideradio. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. No, this is fabulous, because I mean, I think this is the discussion that there needs to be more of a discussion about this, especially about this movie industry as a whole, and knowing that, and everybody knowing, listeners for you there, that it's not just being on screen, it's not just being an actress. That's something that you can be, or actor and actress, but there's also the behind the scenes. There's the people that
there's so many
just
jobs,
like you, producing, directing, but then there's also another stage designing. There's the clothing, the way, everything, makeup, it's all there. You can take that and go into the
makeup.
movie.
I mean, the people doing makeup is incredible. You know, in terms of film makeup, hair grooming. You've got from carpenter, stage management. There's a lot.
It's all there. You just have to place it put yourself in the right place. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
It's been emotional.
Well, thank you so much, Tony, for taking the time. And I hope everybody has been listening and enjoying this and taking a few notes, and make sure that you do try and contact Tony if you have any questions or a script that you want to put out there, or just wanting to understand more about the movie industry in Ghana. You're more than, he's more than ready to answer any of that. You've been listening to Guideradio. I'm Lady Pulos, and this is The New Wave. Remember, you can contact us on all social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're there. Follow us. Get to know what's going on. All links and anything that you will need will be on there too. So we hope you have an awesome day. Take care.
Streaming from Accra.
Guideradio. The New Wave.